We're back at it on a picture-perfect Sunday afternoon here in Hallandale Beach. Does that look like a perfect spot and overall just weather pattern to conduct thoroughbred racing here in Hallandale Beach? Couldn't ask for a nicer day. We've got 11 races on the program. That verdant turf course, lush and green and ready for some use. In fact, an all-turf early double. Now, we ended things yesterday. Consecutive 50-to-1 shots got it done in races 10 and 11. We go from that to one of our favorites here in Ron Nicoletti. Ronnie, it's good to have you back at Gulfstream Park. And I noticed the big billboard getting off I-95 announcing your return.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to be back. And, of course, social distancing it at home. And what Acacia was here. By the way, Acacia did a fantastic job. The only bad thing is I didn't get to say goodbye to her in person, even from 6 feet away. But I'm sure she'll have a great summer campaign. And it's you and I back, Jason. We were talking. We only seen each other like once in the last 3 months.
Yeah. Curlin Florida Derby Day, that was it. But it's good to have you back in the fold. Obviously, we are taking those social distancing cues and parameters very seriously. You're downstairs, our paddock set studio, right outside the walking ring. I'm holding down the fort on the third floor, our third floor clubhouse studios. And look, there's a lot going on here at Gulfstream Park. As the month of May, it's almost hard to believe. And again, the weather is just fantastic. But it is Sunday, May the 31st, if you can believe it. And that sets us up not only for a new month, June 2020, we have got a new schedule that coincides with the start of the new month. This coming Wednesday, my friend, no longer dark. We are running live racing programs beginning on June 3rd.
Yeah, we'll be running on those Wednesdays, and we're dark on Thursday. Then we run Friday through Sunday, and you see that new post time, too, of 12 p.m. each and every day. So you're going to have to do your handicapping early and get here for our first, not here, get ready for the first race.
Friday through Sunday in action, the Wednesday cards, and we are now dark on Thursday moving forward. And that 10-race Wednesday program on June 3rd, it's kind of nice. We start, or at least start a new schedule. Things are coming back online at Belmont Park. Looks like they've got a big day of racing ahead of them. And Maryland was back in the fold yesterday afternoon. So good to see many of our friends from around the country joining us here at Gulfstream Park. And if you're joining us today, folks, why not take a serious look at that seven-figure guaranteed jackpot Rainbow Six? What a pool, my friend. $1.8 million, Roddy. That is a lot of bread.
Yeah, it'll be well over $2 million once the wagering starts. And then you got a chance to take it down today for a 20-cent wager. And, boy, this thing just builds incredibly. It's almost up to $2 million. And it'll be over $2 million today in just a matter of a couple of weeks.
55 on the clock, my friend. We're about an hour out. 12:50 Eastern is break time at Gulfstream Park. We start things out, in fact, back-to-back turf races to commence the program. And I know you were watching from home on your first bet, your expressbet.com account. How about yesterday, Ronnie, capping the card with consecutive winning 50-to-1 shots? I don't know. In all my years of going to the races, I don't recall ever seeing that happen before.
Yeah, I can't think of it happening before, too. And the most amazing thing, it was covered, and you saw the prices in the late pick 5 and in the Rainbow Six. So people are good handicappers here, and they had them somewhere on their ticket. I did not have that late double.
No, I did not either, my friend. It would have been really interesting had Venezuelan Hug not won that crazy whisker photo back in the 8th for trainer Danny Gargan, who, lo and behold, is in the mix this afternoon in the first race, sending out a horse I used in the opening leg of the early pick 5. I've got a number of runners in this first race. I didn't know where to go. I think there were some horses in this race, mainly the 10 Sudden Capture, that might be able to make some noise at a good price. 3 deep to start. I've got 3 deep in the second race. That's our 2-year-old maiden special weight. Used both Wesley Ward fillies, in fact, who are running against Colts and Geldings, along with the number 8 Royal Approval, or I should say the 7 Kodiak Mamba for trainer Mark Cassidy. Chelsea. Too deep for me in the third race, looking at the 3 Examiner and the number 7 Federal Case. In a case of Remember When, looking at some of the names and past accomplishments in that claiming race. Stood alone in the fourth race here on my early pick 5 with the 7 Cozy Dreams, so I just put a lot of stock in that horse's solid, last-out strong effort, and I prefer that over some horses that are coming in off layoffs and wrapping it up, hopefully a winning ticket with the 2 favorites. In fact, I had noticed your picks, Ronnie. You and I just flipped in the 5th. I went 4-10 there. You were 10-4. 2 logicals to cash and an $18 play. Big field, though, and a good overall, I'd say, scene setter and placemat with that 12:50 start time. Looking at this first race, because you have many options in the mix, and I see you're hoping Danny Gargan comes right back after winning the 8th yesterday with Venezuelan Hug. You like his horse here, the number 3, King of Rock, who's going to cut back to 5.
Yeah, free falling to the 12-5 level today and cutting back, as you mentioned, to 5 furlongs after opening and surrendering that early 6-length lead last time out. Finished up the track, but that was a $65,000 maiden test, and that was going a mile in the 16th. You mentioned Danny Gargan, going to add second-time blinkers this afternoon. The drop is what sold me here, even the turn back to 5 after opening that big lead. Thought this was the logical one in this spot.
Now, we're going to see veteran trainer Louis Russell, who seems to have brought a number of horses that fit the program here in South Florida quite nicely, and I've been impressed. I don't know the man personally, needless to say. Read about Risen Star a little before my time, but a very good trainer who seems to be very adept at placing his horses in realistic spots. He's active all day long here and setting out the number 8, the next best thing. This horse, I don't think it's debatable. He's coming in off a layoff. He's got the best overall turf form. It's not even close.
Yeah, and then he's dropping to this level, and he faced those maiden special weight comp runners on both turf and dirt at the Arlington and Hawthorne, but that was in 2019. You mentioned Louis, and he's got Angel Rodriguez handling the drop down today, and you're absolutely right. He's been putting these horses in spots where they belong. Maiden special weight, coming here, finding a proper level. Now, this one coming off the bench, we'll see how this one plays out. I think it's going to take all the money here between the 3 and the 8 are going to be the 2 favorites.
I'm looking at the 10 Sudden Capture as maybe a live barn. Good trainer at Eddie Plisa and treating this colt by Uncaptured, who I do like the Stormy Atlantic influence on the dam side. Treating him like a second-time starter. He's got the 1 race on the turf last year, was a big price against that Day Indian. Going to try to shake things up. I took a bit of a goofy horse in the first race this afternoon, now 40-1, way early in the betting. Cast of 8 await all of us here in the second half of this all-turf Sunday early double at 5 furlongs. 2-year-olds in this $65,000 maiden special weight at a race where I think off the bat you've got 2 Wesley Ward fillies, 1 bred in Kentucky in the 8 Royal Approval, and then the Euro, the Irish bred Campanelli for Stone Street Stables by Kodiak. We're both expecting these Ward fillies to be very fast and maybe just run 1-2 around the turf course.
You would think so. You know, the daughter of Campanelli, the daughter of Kodiak, debuting for Wesley, string a really sharp workout showing over the Palm Meadows turf course. And Wesley Ward, we know he's very good with his freshman runners. You got Nick Juarez in there. Now, people are saying, wait, it's a filly against the boys, but he does this all the time. Same thing with Royal Approval.
Yeah, Royal Approval is in the mix with Edgar. Decent-looking work tab. You've got the Cassie Firster, also by Kodiak, and the number 7 Kodiak Mamba, who does have a Misael for the Cassie barn. And we'll see if the Sibeli Firster by the Factor on the outside, the Zip Factor, if that horse gets bet at all with Paco. To the main we go. Our opening dirt race on this May 31st program amid perfect racing conditions in Hallandale Beach is a 5-horse field. And this was the one race that I thought changed drastically at scratch time, losing a couple of horses, mainly the 2 in Grado, who may have been favored or was a top contender for sure, and a horse that I had liked in this race. Getting back to trainer Louis Russell in this compact cast, I figured I would maybe trust the number 3 Examiner a little more than perhaps the number 7 Federal Case, who, a case of Remember When, he looked like he might be okay for Todd Pletcher, and that form has eluded him. He's now with Mike Maker in for the 16. Ronnie, you and I taking the 3 Examiner, a new face coming in from the Midwest.
once again with Louis Roussel dropping to the $16,000 three-lifetime level after facing a series of tougher optional claimers, including that comeback performance at the Fairgrounds in which he finished fourth. It was against those $40,000 optional claimers. He's got this gelding working well locally, which I like. You like to see a couple of works over the track. And going back to this, not to be like a broken record, Louis is spotting these horses where they belong when they're coming in. A lot of guys ship in first time in South Florida, and they put their horses where they're not logical. I think this is a good spot for Examiner.
And you've got the one Maccabeem, who might be the youngest horse in the race. In fact, the 3-year-old who's been at least stakes tried, at least in that race two-back, that starter race right around President's Day. He's going out for Danny Hertak. He's got Miguel Vasquez, and we've seen Miguel Ronnie ride well all season long here at Gulfstream.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. He's right there in the top echelon of riders in there. And just Dan Hertak did have 2 in this race. He scratched out the other part of the uncoupled entry and left Maccabee in. So at Federal Case, you're absolutely right. The horse you have in second. This horse was actually second in the Hutchison back in 2019. So a big drop for that horse.
Yeah, he's now, I mean, he's bounced around to a few different barns. I remember him being with Todd, of course, with the Lows, and we'll see how he does for Mike Maker in for the 16,000. Let's move on to the fourth this afternoon. We're on the main track again. We've got some 3-and-up filly mare, $16,000 to $14,000 claimers. Cast of 8 set to go, and I just put a lot of stock into the strong last-out effort of the number 7 horse, Cozy Dreams. Why don't we backtrack to this horse's race back on the 8th of May, where this horse pulled a very good trip in that race and was basically fourth at this point off a duel. Grab me my towel, Dennis, please. Good effort out of Cozy Dreams. The studio is about 4,000 degrees today. I'm sitting here melting under the lights. Thank you, my friend. But a good effort last time out with a good figure from Cozy Dreams. And I thought, Ronnie, in a race where there's some layoff horses like Uncaptured Ruby and Chillin' Lady who haven't run in some time, I thought this horse would run pretty well this afternoon.
Yeah, you know, wheeling back after responding to the drop down in competition with that second place finish last time, beating the neck at this level and distance. Oscar Gonzalez talking about the rider that had a couple of wins just the other day. Marcos Meneses had back-to-back victories. So I just thought Cozy Dreams was a logical contender in there.
Yeah, you're taking that horse. We basically obviously keyed everything off the 7. So we've got him, we're pivoting off him, so to speak. Looking at the 3, Chillin' Lady, I like the speed. I like this horse. Kind of like an abstract notion. I just like how this daughter of Stay Thirsty ran last year, but that, to me, therein lies the problem. She has not run since before Thanksgiving. Will she need a race coming back off the bench for Kathleen O'Connell? And you like a layoff horse in the 8 on Captured Ruby, and I don't know what to do with her this afternoon moving to Jorge Delgado's barn.
Yeah, moving to his barn. The gelding drops to this level we've been talking about of $16,000 and just turns back to the 3/4 of mile. Face tougher before the layoff, which includes the stalk to pace fourth. But that was against those 25 maidens. It was during March. Christian Torres is going to be in the saddle. Really respect the connections. I just thought this one was a logical contender, but I think they all have to beat the Cozy Dreams, who has that recency right now.
Yeah, let's move on to the 5th before we take a little bit of a timeout where we'll end a turf-heavy early pick 5, going what's been a popular distance on the grass today, going the 5 furlongs with this 12-5 to 10-5 claimer. And between Machiavello for Fausto Gutierrez, whose turf race 2-back was pretty solid, and your top pick, who's towards the outside. And the real key to this race, let's not pull any punches, the presence of the 10 Tapizar King, and ultimately how you feel about this horse coming back off a layoff about a week and a half before Halloween. But a good effort, no doubt, last October over at GPW.
Yeah, you know, he turns to the left. He debuts on the turf after setting the pace. He got beat that nose against those 20 maidens, going 6 furlongs, as you mentioned, across town at Gulfstream Park West. But to me, he looks like the controlling speed, and he's got a good speed rider in MCL Jaramillo, and that was my thought process of putting this one on top of the ticket. I just think this horse can run well, and especially on the turf that I think has been favoring speed. You don't have to have the lead to win, so I just thought he might be the speed in there.
No, the inside has been fine, and speed's been very dangerous. We made our basically day-long triumphant return to the turf on a grand scale here Friday, and yeah, there's been nothing wrong with inside speed and overall the inside pass, both on the inner and the outer turf course. And look, we've seen trainer Fausto Gutierrez do a very good job. His horses have really come to life here. And I look at the effort two back with the 4 Machiavello, just a very solid effort in context to this field.
Yeah, he ran second on the sealed track last time out, but two back. But how about the jockey, host Joseph Trios? Boy, this kid has been riding in good form. So I think these are the logical 2 contenders. As you mentioned earlier, we flip-flopped our exacting here, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, is you do a exacta box with these 2 horses.
All right, why don't we take a little time out? We'll chase the Rainbow Six. Big money coming up after this.
And they're off. Second in the 2-path. Ground off first inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 yards out. Last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Beautiful day here at Gulfstream Park. 11 races on this Sunday, May the 31st. We've got, again, fast and firm conditions, a turf course that was sparingly used over the last couple of weeks, and a turf-heavy card. Very much looking forward to the start of that at about 12:50 Eastern. It is Jason and Ronnie. Ronnie, I was able to cool myself down during the break, and we're set to go. I got to find the thermostat in this studio. It's about 400 degrees up here. But let's try to turn up the heat, so to speak, in the Rainbow Six. Your first day back. I know you're feeling good, and how's the ticket looking?
Well, we got a $43.20 ticket. I thought I'd go back to my old number that I have a lot of success with. I did go 3 deep in here with I Got It Made as the number 1. It's the daughter of Uncle Mo. Debuting for Chad Brown. You got the 6 Tara and a Miraculous Blessing on my ticket. 2 deep in race number 7. And I just thought these were the logical 2 contenders in there. And that's the 9 horse and the number 12. Got to deal with that outside post this afternoon. Then 3 deep in race number 8. This one scares me. I left the 4 off the ticket in here, but I did use Royal Squeeze, who I really like this afternoon. Bel Tapiciero and Forested Grace. And then you'll see in race number 9, here I got my long shot in here, and that's the 3 Centerfold Prospect. 12-1 on the morning line. I like the drop down. I like the fact that Paco is in the saddle, but I also used the favorite in there, Overnight Success, and the number 9. Congrats that. 2 deep in race number 10 with Crammy Boy. I think Whiskey Sunrise, the 6, is the one to beat in that. And 2 deep in race number 11. And I really like La Cara Bonita. I made that horse my best bet today, but I saved myself a little bit with Glorious Gal from the Joe Orsino Bond. So $43.20 for me. Boy, these handicappers have been fantastic with this Rainbow Six. Having all yesterday, no single ticket yesterday was amazing.
Yeah, it was, absolutely. Again, if you're just joining us, Ronnie and I opened up the broadcast just remarking, and rightfully so, the fact that we had successive winning 50-1 shots in both halves of the late double yesterday. And Ronnie's been around a long time. I'm coming up on 30 years as a fan, and neither one of us could ever remember seeing consecutive 50-1 bombers win like we had yesterday late in the program at Gulfstream. But the Rainbow Six, the jackpot survived, and it's $1.8 million. And I think this is my favorite race on the entire card, Ronnie. I really like the diversity and overall just eclectic nature of this cast of Florida bred 3-and-up filly and mare maiden special weight runners, where you've got the Chad Firster on the rail by Uncle Mo. David Fox has got an uncaptured filly next to her, Little Shamrock, who cost $280K. You've got a couple last out layoff horses or layoff runners who last out ran at Saratoga Racecourse and caught good fields in upstate New York, and then some good recent form from a horse like the 6 Tara. It really is a fascinating race. Up first, one of those layoff horses for Saratoga. Why don't we look at a last out breeze, in fact, from May 23rd, the morning of May 23rd, 23rd here at GP for Buxom Beast. Now, she's coming back off the layoff. A trainer change today to Ken McPeak. Gary Contessa formerly trained this filly by the Big Beast, who was a pricey 2-year-old purchase. Very unorthodox move looking at her 2 races to date. Debuting as a maiden, a first-time starter. Forget about maiden. She debuted as a firster in the Grade 3 Schuylerville on opening day at the Spa last summer and then just didn't fire. And you wonder if maybe there was an issue preceding or that happened during her last and only race on September 1st. She's in off a long layoff. You've got the other Saratoga horse, the 5, Miraculous Blessing, who was against British Idiom in her first start. And we've got the Chad Firster down on the rail, who you got to think, Ronnie, even looking at North Broadway, who won yesterday for Peter Brandt and Chad, she's going to be live this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, a $350,000 daughter of Uncle Mo debuting for Chad with the Lasix and really some solid workouts showing up at Payson Park. Nick Juarez will ride. Found the stat I wanted to know. I said, Chad Brown, main track. That just doesn't add up to me. So I wanted to just take a look. And, you know, he's got, this is a 3-year-old, first-time starters, maiden special weight, right here at Gulfstream Park. He's 9 for 36, 25%, 61% in the money. $1.94 is the return of investment. So people are saying, well, it's Chad Brown. Why are you looking up this stat? I just wanted to see what this guy did here on the main track. We know how fantastic he is, and really on both surfaces. Just wanted to put that out there.
And Chad, of course, not only active here all season long throughout 2020, he'll have the bulk of his string up in the Big Apple beginning Wednesday at Belmont Park. But it's good to see he's got some Florida breds, and I know Seth Klarman has been very active buying some very pricey and solid Florida breds over the years, and good to see Peter Brandt dipping in and a Florida bred by Uncle Mo. You know, that makes me happy, and we both took the Chad Firster, the one got it made. I put a lot of stock like you did, just a strong, recent, last-out race. She might not look as sexy as having run against British Idiom or being a big, expensive and pricey auction purchase by Uncle Mo, but the 6 Tara, she's got 2 good races. She's riding 2 very strong races into this race for trainer Juan Alvarado.
Yeah, certainly, man. She's been knocking on the door, not in 2 and 3 consecutive races against these. Includes that nose defeat at this level and distance last time out. She was this close from winning last time. And Juan Alvarado, boy, what a great meet he is having. And MCL Jaramillo trying to get this daughter of Brethren, we'll say, out of second gear. She's been right there at the wire. Maybe a little push from Lady Luck will get this one on top today. I'm going to have to deal with the one got it made. You just know Chad's going to have this horse ready to run.
And Miraculous Blessing, she is clearly, of the 2 layoff fillies, maybe she's the biggest key, looking and just going one-to-one her against Buxom Beast, just for the fact that she was 8-1 in a 10-horse field middle of August last summer. But hey, British Idiom won that race.
Yeah, you know, she comes out of that good race there. You know, this one, Victor Barboza Jr. Barnes. So this is the one I wanted to show the stat on, but I looked up with maiden special weight runners. He really hasn't had any kind of stat that I can put out there. But this horse ran 4th against, as you mentioned, British Idiom in that 6-furlong maiden spot. I am really interested to see how this horse runs today.
Yeah, absolutely. She is just an ingredient or a little bit of a sprinkle on top of a really interesting race and a very, again, diverse cast of Florida-bred maidens in that 6th race. We move on. Late pick 5 does begin, cast of 8, and I am going 2 deep. I like the 2 rematch fillies, and we're going to look at both Miss My Macho and Lady Noguez in the race they're coming out of, and they both ran well with different kinds of trips. 2 deep in the 8th. I'm pretty logical, if I'm being honest, from the first to the last race. I use Frosted Grace and the 4 Where Paradise Lay. In fact, I like rematching horses in the 7th and 8th, and we're going to look at both of those replays in just a second. I've got 3 in the 9th. That race, I think, out of all the races here in the late pick 5, confused me the most. Although I got to tell you, the 9, Congrats That, is going to be a deserving favorite there. And this is a sequence where trainer Michael Yates is really front and center, not only setting out Congrats That, he's running my single in the mix in Whiskey Sunrise, who's going to be a clear chalk off 2 very solid recent efforts, the most recent of which came up fast in the speed figure department. I like Whiskey Sunrise to win as a short price and built this play around him, wrapping things up with the 1, 6, and 9. Use Ronnie's best bet, the 9, La Carabinita, in the last with Paco. Does she stay the mile this afternoon? That might be the biggest question with her. Can she get the distance? We know she's got some ability in that field. But again, 9-12 in this upcoming opening leg of the late pick 5, and just trying to size up Lady Noguez against Miss My Macho. Here they are back in the nightcap, actually, on Friday, May the 1st. Now, I forgot how how well Miss My Macho, of course she wins this race, but I forgot just how good she was in this W, where she was more or less 4 to 5 wide around that far turn and did not give an inch. Here comes the gray Lady Noguez with the white blinkers, and she'll just finish out in the middle of the turf course, a clear-cut, solid, second-best horse on the afternoon. Here's the thing, though. Going into this race today, Roddy, Miss My Macho was really marooned on the outside in post number 12, and I do think that outside post now is absolutely mitigated to a large extent because now she goes from stall 8, so it doesn't appear as tall an order as it was when this race was first drawn, with her again marooned outside in stall 12.
Well, this is my coin flip race when I went with Lady Noguez and Miss My Macho and didn't know which one to go. I said, well, I'm going to go with the 9 horse because the 12 has got the horse post in here, even though she ran exceptionally well last time out. And as you mentioned, not the case this afternoon. So I think that Lady Noguez dropping a notch, rallied to finish second when facing, you saw it right there, Bobby Hess Jr., Paco Lopez. And it's just a really nice stretch out at 8.5 furlongs or a mile and a 16. Like you said on your ticket, these are the logical 2 in here. And they also used the 7 Wicked Solutions, who's stepping up and stretching out. Rallied to finish second, was only beat that little bit of a nose in against those 12-5 claimers, Dave Brady and Miguel Vasquez. That's what sold me to put this horse on my try. Maybe spring a little bit of an upset in here.
And we'll see. No Miguel coming up in the 8th race this afternoon. He will be riding for trainer Mike Yates, his first call barn in a couple of races a bit later today. But this 8th is, although maybe not my favorite per se, it's close between this one and the 6th. I really like this field. High-level allowance optional claimer for the older horses on the main track going 6 furlongs. Multi-layered puzzle. Let's begin with that rematch I had touched upon briefly between the one Frosted Grace and Where Paradise Lay. They come out of a sloppy track race here back on Sunday, May the 10th. Now, Where Paradise Lay, I love this effort. Frosted Grace, meanwhile, this just struck me as a horse that did not care for the sloppy going, and I just don't know if he was in a great spot. In fact, I don't think he was in a great spot, turning for home, trying to go between horses in a hole that it looked like it was going to be narrow and pretty tight, and in the end it closed, and he had to swing to the outside. Didn't cost him the win, and I think where he was early on was more or less really due to the fact he's just not a horse that's at his best or most comfortable on a sloppy sealed track. And I'm looking forward to seeing who ultimately proves best in the rematch, because you got those two, but you've also got the 8-year-old, the number 2 Royal Squeeze, and even the 6 Bel Tapisserie. Really is a good race here on the dirt.
Well, what I did is I played weatherman. I looked at the 4 horses' last 2 races, both those wins on sloppy tracks. I said, you know, I mean, that's the one when I was showing you my Rainbow 6 ticket. I said, this is the one that might hurt me on my ticket. They're leaving out the number 4. Only went 3 deep. So I was, like you said, this was the real head scratcher for me. And I ended up with the 2 Royal Squeeze, who's turning back to 3/4 today. Went up, set the pace, and we can finish 4th. But that was in the 7 furlong, $100,000 big drama. It's Elizabeth Dobles and Victor LeBron. This is a 3-time winner at the distance, and I just kept going back, and I think Royal Squeeze is the right one in here.
Well, it's the easiest race he's been in quite some time. I mean, he's ridden just a string of races against better horses. These horses are far from layups, that's for sure, and far from slouches, but I can't argue with you thinking he's going to be able to turn things around and get back into the winner's circle. Bel Tapisserie not coming out of a great effort in the Soldado Frosted Grace race in the lead-up to the Florida Derby. He's been freshened, and he's coming back. Compact field, how dangerous might his speed be in a field of 6 like this?
Yeah, you know, he's dropping in he's going to run for the $50,000 tag here. You know, he really likes this distance. He's had 7 races, Bel Tapisserie, with 4 wins. So I think this is the distance for him. Joe Orsino, and you got Kristen Torres. So I just think at 3/4 of a mile, this horse can be dangerous today. And like I said, when you're handicapping your Rainbow 6 or your late pick 5 ticket, this is the one that gave me fits.
Yeah, good race, good matchup between. They are the big 4. Let's not mince words there. The rematching crew, then the old 8-year-old Royal Squeeze and Bel Tapisserie, who proves best this afternoon in race number 8. 9th on the Sunday card. We'll head back to the turf. We've got a 3-and-up $16,000 claiming race for horses that have never won 3. And again, most are going, I think, to look at this race. You weren't one of them, although you've got the horse 3rd. And I just felt as though early speed, good recent form. I think the tide continues here personally with the 9. Congrats that from the outside for Yates and Miguel.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you can make a case for overnight success or congrats that for being the favorite in here and the ones to beat. And that's how I saw the race. But I wanted to, step up and maybe get a little bit of a long shot here, knock some of the people out of the Rainbow Six ticket so I could take down the whole pool in there. And I did use the number 3 horse Centerfold Prospect, 12-1 on the morning line. I'll tell you why. Dropping a notch, turning back to 5 furlongs today after setting that pressured pace last time out. We knew that was against those 23 lifetime claimers. It was 52-1 last time out, so I knew that this horse might get ignored. I just think he can run back. I like the turn back. I like the fact that Paco Lopez is riding, and I'm looking for a shot. Would I leave this 6 overnight success off my ticket or the 9? Congrats to that. No.
And this is the 3rd time we've mentioned trainer Louis Roussel setting out the 6 overnight success. If he's ready to go off the layoff and can cut back, and he's had success, that's the real comforting aspect. He's won before going this very niche-like 5/8 on the turf. They might all. I like the 9 here because he's the local horse with the sharp recent form, but is there maybe an argument to be made that if overnight success is good right off the van, he's the class of the field?
He's absolutely the class of the field. I believe he's the morning line favorite in here, and he's, those 3 lifetime claimers at the fairgrounds, those were $30,000 level, and I got to mark down all these races we're talking about, Louis Roussel, these horses, where they ran into fairgrounds or somewhere in the Midwest, and how they compete at the levels here. I think it's a good stat that you want to keep to see how his horses runs. He's got a full barn, and he's not afraid to run them. He's put them in spots where they're very, very dangerous.
Definitely. Here's the 10th, double digits as we drop the curtain on the main track. Our last dirt race is a Florida bred allowance optional claiming race, and like I said with my late pick 5, not only do I like the Yates Miguel horses in races 9 and 10, I think ultimately we've got a favorite who's going to prove tough to beat and a very worthy short-priced winner. I hope that's the case with Whiskey Sunrise. And just to show his last start, 2 good efforts since returning as a 3-year-old. He had been off for about 11 and a half months, resurfaced here about week and change after the Florida Derby, and he's got a win and a very strong second, cut down by the horse who's just starting to angle in from out behind the 3 in front of him with the red cap and the black sleeves for Live Oak and Tap It to Win, who had done some good things and kept good company as a 2-year-old up in the Northeast for Mark Cassidy. And that horse, although Whiskey Sunrise won't be able to beat him, he does run well against him, and Tap It to Win, Ronnie, I noticed, is in a nice race opening day at Belmont. I think he's a very good Florida bred, and ultimately I think the stock of that race is just a solid race between 2 good horses, and I think we have a worthy favorite here.
Yeah, Whiskey Sunrise, and what I like, he's lightly raced, but when he come back, he's been right there in both races, so he's the one to beat. I also used the 1 Crammy Boy, as you did in second, who has the figures and the local resume needed to compete with this state-bred competition. Finished second in the race. That was in front of a pair of next out winners, and it was a competitive claimer at the distance. Peter Walder has Christian Torres' second consecutive start from the rail for this horse, so he's got that resume that he can run well in the spot. We'll see if he's up to the task with Whiskey Sunrise in the race.
All right, little nightcap action here. Let's close down the week. We're on the turf. We've got your best bet housed in this 3-and-up filly and mare $30,000 claiming race, and I would imagine dipping back in for a claiming tag, even if a mile is a little bit, at least to me, a little bit of a suspect distance as far as La Carabinita. I would imagine just her overall quality won you over. That's why you're so confident in her chances.
Yeah, it's going to try the non-winners of 2 lifetime competition. Duel early, got the lead in that race, and weakened late to finish third against 25 optional claimers. Bob Hess, Paco Lopez handling. I think if this horse's speed is rationed on the front end, very dangerous against this level of competition.
No, she absolutely. I would go into this thing thinking she might just be the most talented horse. Is she in a spot, though, where she can handle the 1-mile trip? Her races going 2 turns in the past, I think her 5-furlong turf sprints have just been a lot stronger. That's how I view them, and we'll see how she does. I respect her. I used her in my late pick 5, but I'm hoping it's go time this afternoon for the 1 Tidestorm on the rail, who has run well, mainly that race 3 back last September up at Parks, around 2 turns on their turf course. And my feeling was and is she's second time back this season for Mike Matz. And off that, what I think is probably a prep race to get her going, they drop her down. She checks a number of those boxes, and I thought she might step forward this afternoon. But you're outside in this race. What do you like about the 10 Glorious Gal, who's in off a little bit of a layoff right around Fountain of Youth time for Trader Joe Orsino?
Yeah, just thought this horse would figure in here. Let me grab my paper here as everything is getting stuck together around here outside. This one, just thought the horse would run well in here. Glorious Gal is dropping to the $30,000 level, adding the blinkers, first starts and finishing third against those open claimers going a mile. And that was during the tough championship meet. Joe Orsino, as you mentioned, Kristen Torres. So I like the drop. I like the blinkers on there. And I just thought this horse can run well.
All right, so what do we got? 23 minutes, about 28 minutes before break time of the Sunday First. Great job on the show here, Ronnie. We'll have you, me, all day long holding down the fort. The man upstairs, Pete Aiello, coming up next with those scratches and changes.